We're going to talk about fitness in the mind and body here. I want to welcome Grace Carpenter to the program, along with Dr. Daniel Nadeau, and he has a great book. We're going to be talking about two of his books that are out right now. But Grace, health, eating well, fitness, all can attribute to staving off dementia and Alzheimer's, right? I mean, in terms of our...
Absolutely, and that's why we do our meetings monthly in the Performing Arts Center, the second Monday of every month. 10 a.m. the presenter starts. And I got a call yesterday asking, well, are they always about Alzheimer's disease? Alzheimer's is under the dementia umbrella.
Right.
We have all these dementias, like we had Dr. Ken Papard last month talking about MCI. Mild cognitive impairment can often be reversed. It doesn't mean you're going to have Alzheimer's. And he also talked about the new color test that even the primary care doctor, Dr. Nadeau is an endocrinologist, so he has more to say about it than I do. But this is why we have the monthly meetings. We charge no dues. The speakers get no stipend. Everybody's a volunteer. I'm an Alzheimer's volunteer for Alzheimer's Orange County, our sponsor. And we do music for the brain, music for the changing brain, even if they have Alzheimer's, right? Or whatever dementia stage anybody is at. And that's 10 a.m. on the second Monday of every month. And Dr. Dan will be there on this next present event, which is Monday, July 14th in the PAC, Dining Room 2.
Okay, there we go. I want to talk about your books here. The first one you put out was back in 2002, the Color Code. And it's like the colors of rich vibrant colors of vegetables and fruits and how they can benefit us, right? And I always said to have lots of colors on your plate, right? That's what people say in terms of a balanced
That's the way to go,
diet.
Michael, for sure. So this book talked about like how the red foods, like strawberries, how they're good for you, how the blue foods, like blueberries, are good for you, how greens, the more you eat of greens, the healthier you're going to be, basically, is the bottom line. So that was the book I co-authored with Jim Joseph. He was chief of the neuroscience lab at Tufts in Boston. And he's the guy who showed improved memory and motor skills in older animals by feeding them blueberries.
Like Grace talked about, reversing some of the effects that you can
Exactly, and
that
that was the first study that ever actually showed reversal of defects. And then since that time, we've had now human studies that have shown the same thing. And we will be talking a lot about a study by Dean Ornish where they actually showed reversal or at least stabilization, especially in those who really took a healthy diet really seriously. And I think that there's even a way to take it beyond that by focusing on especially nutritious foods. And I have another book now that's
soon to be released in about a week or so.
Right, you'll be able to pre-order it on Amazon within a week or so. And very excited about this. So this one's organized a bit differently. We talk about having healthy skin, a healthy heart, a chapter on healthy brain, and so on. So we go by systems. So I think it's going to be more accessible and meaningful for people to have it organized that way.
But should people, I mean, let me ask you this question. Should people focus, I want my skin to get better. So should we be focused, or something like that, my hair growth or whatever it might be, my belly fat. So, but shouldn't be people doing the whole kind of gamut of all of these things, a little bit of everything?
Exactly. Well,
right?
what's remarkable is that, every chapter is similar in that it's focusing on similar things that you're doing. There are certain things you can do, for example, for the brain, like having like a plant-based omega-3 could be especially helpful for you if you're talking about brain health. So we bring that up. But generally speaking, you're talking about eating whole foods. I do want to just start off by thanking Grace for inviting me to speak. It's very much an honor to work with her and to be here with you. I do think that here at Laguna Woods, there's a tremendous reservoir of genius, of people who have so much to offer, who've had just, remarkable careers and so on. And what we want to try and do is preserve that wisdom that they have so that they can carry it forward to the next generation. And I mean, part of that, I would say, if you look at how people are eating, instead of talking about what they shouldn't eat, I think it's important to talk about what they should eat.
Right, okay.
To try to to try to help the brain. We're going to try to give them so many healthy foods to eat that there's no room for the bad foods anymore.
Oh, you
that's
see,
good.
I had a rainbow of food the other night, but it was just Skittles that I separated.
Oh, Skittles.
And apparently I was told that was no good.
That's a little bit processed. That's a little bit
They
processed.
were really colorful. I'm not gonna. It was the rainbow effect. So, Grace, have you taken to heart some of the things that you've learned over the years about food and the good foods and the bad foods, and how have you made changes in your life?
Well, the first thing I started with was the FODMAP diet, and that was so restrictive. But that got me to do a lot of gluten-free products. And I couldn't believe how available they were and tasty they were. And so now I look in my cupboard and it's just natural for me to eliminate something that I have to because of the effect on my digestive system. And I think that's so important. I'm 81 and I'm finally getting all these gas, all these problems we have as we get older. And then I think just watching the diet now, I don't do FODMAP at all now because I got everything under control. And Dr. Dan's my endocrinologist, and he's really helped me with all that.
There you go.
Plus, we got to tell them the news that people like me who have sleep apnea, they just approved it. If we have a recent sleep study, the insurance company will provide us with what used to be just considered the diet drug, right?
So you're talking about Zepbound.
Yeah, Zepbound.
Which is that
right,
GLP-1 type medication, which of
Mounjaro.
all the meds that have ever been developed, it's probably the most helpful in terms of facilitating weight loss.
Yes.
So some people being on that medication will cut their caloric intake by as much as 1,000 calories per day.
And that's what's happened to me. It's wonderful.
And with that weight loss, sleep apnea can often be reversed. Yeah.
Yes, they were looking at my studies, and the pulmonologist said, he just sent you all my studies, I know. He said, I have done almost zero, from 28 episodes an hour to almost 0 episodes on the data they get every day from my sleep machine. And the fact that insurance is finally going to pay for this, because all these drugs are expensive.
What's been the learning curve in terms of the connective tissue between your first book you wrote and then what you put into this book? Did you take, okay, there's some carryover here, there's going to be some connection here, but here, I'm taking this to the next level.
Right. Well, in this book, I must say, it's almost like encyclopedic in terms of just going through, what's in, for example, beets and, and how they're good for you and so on. And it's almost like if you want to look up, the red foods and the beets, you can certainly do that and see what's good for them. But for other people who are, for example, a teenager who's suffering with skin issues, with acne and so on, this is where you want to turn because it's going to talk about how you can reverse acne. Or if you're an older person and you're starting to worry about your memory. I just came from here. The last patient I saw actually has a friend who's lost his memory, doesn't recognize him anymore, and he is now focused on, well, what can I do to protect my brain? And so I think it's very important. So I'm just going to kind of tick off a few things as I try to get people to have a couple cups of berries every day. It's actually best to have a variety of different berries, not even just one. I personally like the wild Maine blueberries because they're the highest concentration, have 33 different types of anthocyanins. They're readily available, frozen for 3-pound bag for like $15 in every supermarket in California.
Oh, we need to know that.
So yeah, that's good. And then, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, walking through Trader Joe's, instead of picking up a candy bar or something, go ahead and pick up some blackberries and know that you're really doing something good for your brain. So what you're having even as snacks is important. And then I always encourage people to have a big old colorful salad every day because that, just gives, there's no amount of greens that's not going to benefit you. The more you eat, the more benefit you're going to get from having greens in your diet. So I try to, so berries with breakfast, big old salad for lunch, more greens with dinner, and, to have, healthy foods like whole grains and legumes and such. They say that every serving of beans you have each day increases your life expectancy by 7%.
Oh, that's good to know.
All right, we're going to save some for the event. It's going to be on the 14th Fit Brain Club. Dr. Daniel Nadeau and Grace Carpenter, thank you guys so much for coming in today.
Okay, great. Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
You're watching This Day. We'll be right back.